Hi, I'm Teresa McGill from Coast to Coast Legal Aid. I am a paralegal here in the Each Unit. What the Each Unit does is public benefits for the underserved. We handle Social Security disability, health law, Medicare, Medicaid, Affordable Care Act, unemployment, and cash assistance. Right now, we're going to be interviewing Margaret Kosick. She used to be a lawyer here, but now she's with Florida Health Justice Project. And my friend Margaret here. We're going to have a Friday with Friends. I want to tell you a little bit about Margaret. She's a proud graduate of Florida International University College of Law, where she earned her law degree in 2013. Her legal journey began as a student attorney in the Health Law and Policy Clinic, where she learned to advocate for those in need. She's built her career advocating for the underserved Floridians in the areas of health law and public benefits. Throughout her career, she has supported children, seniors, adults with disabilities across the state while addressing complex issues involving Medicaid, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act, Social Security, and long-term care. She gained valuable experience working at Florida Legal Services and here at Coast to Coast Legal Aid. And with more than a decade of experience, she now serves as the supervising attorney at Florida Health Justice Project. Continue her dedication. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, first thing I want to ask is what is the Florida Health Justice Project and what services do you offer to the community?
Florida Health Justice Project is a nonprofit statewide organization. We engage in comprehensive advocacy to expand healthcare access and promote health equity for the most vulnerable Floridians. We use every tool in the advocates toolbox. We take on individual cases. We fight for change through legislative and administrative advocacy. We help individuals to share their powerful stories. We create educational resources such as guides and toolkits, and we engage in litigation, work with the media, publish issue briefs, and we collaborate with other advocates.
That's a lot. It's great. Earlier this year, the Florida Health Justice Project won a major legal victory concerning Florida's confusing Medicaid termination notices. Can you explain what the case was about, what the court decided, and how this ruling will impact the people who lost their Medicaid benefits?
Yeah, so you may recall that during the Medicaid unwinding, Florida stripped coverage from nearly 1.5 million enrollees using confusing and misleading notices. The Florida Health Justice Project, along with the National Health Law Program, sued on behalf of Florida families. And a federal judge found that the DCF notices border on the incomprehensible and ordered the state to pause terminations until it fixes these notices. The state appealed, but it still has to halt terminations and let people appeal any past terminations. So over 1 million people terminated between March 2023 and January 2026, plus current and future enrollees will benefit from the court's order requiring clear, accurate notices and an end to these unconstitutional terminations.
Okay. So, what are some of the reoccurring systemic issues you found in the healthcare system?
So one problem we're seeing right now is with Florida Kid Care. The state actually passed a law requiring Florida Kid Care to expand subsidized coverage to kids and families with incomes up to 300% of the federal poverty level from previously 200%. So for example, a child in a family of four should be eligible if the family's income is up to approximately 8,400 a month. So this subsidized coverage allows them to get a plan for a low premium and allows medically complex children to enroll in specialized plans. However, the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration has not implemented it, even though it has actually been approved by the federal agency, CMS, already. We actually recently filed suit about this and asked the court to order the state to implement the revised eligibility limit. There are quite a few issues, actually. We're also seeing some problems with eligibility for Medicare savings programs. These are actually a type of Medicaid that help cover the Medicare premiums and possibly out-of-pocket costs. In Florida, an applicant's spouse and dependents should be included when determining if the individual qualifies. However, the state's computer system hasn't been updated to do this automatically. And although caseworkers at Department of Children and Families, DCF, are supposed to add this information manually, they haven't really been trained, possibly. They just haven't been really doing this. So we're having to assist clients in appealing that. We are also seeing that DCF is failing to do what is called an ex parte review when people are no longer eligible for Medicaid through supplemental security income, SSI. The state Medicaid agency is supposed to continue providing Medicaid until the beneficiary is determined to be ineligible under any other category. But DCF doesn't appear to be reviewing their eligibility for any other category and are prematurely terminating their benefits. And lastly, another concerning trend is that DCF does not seem to be sending cases for disability review with their disability with DDD and individuals, even if individuals report on their application that they're disabled. Although DCF isn't required to do an independent disability review when Social Security has already said that the individual is not disabled, they are required to do a review when there is no Social Security decision or the individual's condition has changed.
Following the passage of H.R. 1, which was also known as the One Big Beautiful Build Act, as well as some of the other rule changes that are upcoming changes in healthcare, can you explain some of these changes, how they will affect individuals who rely on this insurance?
So experts have predicted that the effects of H.R. 1 and other related federal policies will result in about 1.5 million Floridians becoming newly uninsured. This could double the state's overall uninsured rate from about 10.7% in 2023 to 19.7% this year. As you may have heard, one of the biggest problems right now for Floridians is what wasn't in the bill, and that's the extension of the enhanced premium tax credits in the health insurance marketplace. After the enhanced tax credits in 2020, after they began in 2020, the number of people who enrolled in the marketplace in Florida grew by about 2.8 million people. These enhanced savings lowered premiums for everyone, but in particular, anybody with very low income was able to get a plan for zero premium. And it gave individuals with higher incomes the ability to qualify for tax credits. So without these savings, people's premiums went up this year, and they're dropping their insurance since they're no longer able to pay for health insurance as well as their other necessities like rent and food. Another really big change from H.R. 1 is immigrant eligibility. So previously, lawfully present non-citizens could purchase affordable coverage through the marketplace, and qualified non-citizens could enroll in Medicaid. But over the next 18 months, immigrant eligibility in Medicare, Medicaid, and the health insurance marketplace is going to be limited to just 3 categories. That's lawful permanent residents, Cuban and Haitian entrants, and individuals living in the United States through a Compact of Free Association or COFA. So immigrants who will no longer be eligible for coverage include refugees, parolees, asylees, battered individuals with family members, trafficking survivors, Iraq, Afghan special immigrant members, and tribal members. For Medicaid, that's going to be effective October of this year. However, this does not apply to children. So lawfully residing children are still eligible for Medicaid and kid care under HR 1. For Marketplace, the new restrictions on immigrant eligibility will be effective January 2027. For Medicare, it's already effective for new enrollees and goes into effect January 2027 for existing enrollees.
Last year, I had the privilege of attending the Florida Poverty and Health Law Conference organized by your organization. Could you briefly just share what that conference was about?
We're so glad you were able to join us. As you know, the 2025 Florida Poverty Health Law Conference brought together legal aid attorneys, pro bono practitioners, community advocates, and national experts for a day of learning across 12 sessions. Attendees dove into healthcare rights for low-income Floridians, from kids and elders to veterans and people with disabilities, and picked up practical tools, outreach strategies, and real-world advocacy approaches to better serve their clients.
Yes, it was great. I learned a lot. Are you having another one this year?
But we're not having another one this year, but we will have our next Poverty Health Law Conference in the fall of 2027. And we're working on strategies to keep us all connected during that until that time.
Okay. How can a client contact your organization for service?
So potential clients can go to our website at floridahealthjustice.org and click I need help to complete our online application. We also have a lot of great resources in our resource library for both advocates and individuals to use for self-help.
Okay. Are there any income limits or guidelines to qualify?
So potential clients have to be Florida residents and within the eligibility criteria of one of the public health care programs, such as Medicaid, kid care, or, for example, marketplace health insurance marketplace cost sharing reductions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Margaret Kosick from Florida Health Justice Project. We will be putting your contact information in our content section. And thank you for joining us on
Great.
Friday with
Thank you.
Friends.
Thank you again for having me.